All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we got a legendary individual for you. This man needs no introduction, but we have the one, the only, the legendary Father MC on the line. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good, man. How's everything?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I hope everything is all well with you out there during this terrible pandemic.
Yeah, man. Same here, man. I hope everything's good with everyone.
But I gotta ask you, Father, taking it back to when times were very much simpler in everybody's lives, I have to ask you, what made you decide to get into the music industry initially?
Man, when I was young, I was DJing. And then when Rappers Delight came out, that was it. Changed my, my young life. Like, I said, these guys can do it, and I love doing it. But when I found out they could get paid from doing it, too, I was like, that's the job I need. So I just started focusing. That's all.
And most definitely, and I also noticed in 1988, you actually did some work with the First Fleet Crew over on Stupid Fresh Records. I have to ask you, how did you actually get connected with the First Fleet Crew?
It was a local record, like a record store, and the guy name was Jannard, and he was the CEO of Stupid Fresh Records. And he had heard I was making a buzz in Far Rockaway in Queens. So, we stepped together, we talked, and he told me, like, he wanted to sign me. So he signed me, put out the record, went to the studio, put out the record. Record, it was my first time really getting my feet wet, but it wasn't moving sturdy enough for me. And plus, they didn't have the promotions and stuff like that, but it was a good try.
And I have to say, it actually is most definitely. It was a great 12-inch vinyl. My stepfather used to actually have a copy of it, and I'm telling you, man, I used to love listening to it. It always brings the heat, man. There's nothing better than some Father MC and the First Fleet Crew together, man. You guys were a great bunch.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, in 1990, you actually released like one of your biggest records, in my opinion, which is actually called Father's Day. I have to ask you, what's the inspiration and story behind that iconic record?
Well, that's when I signed to Uptown. Uptown Records was the beginning of Father's growth. Like, I signed the deal, and they started taking me into the studio. Andre Harrell, God bless. He took me into the studio, gave me the deal, and start making real records. And what I mean by real records is I started seeing the quality of how the records were turning out, and I was shook. I was shook because it was like, wow. And then Jodeci, putting Jodeci on Treat 'Em Like You Want to Be Treated. I went and got Mary J. Blige for I'll Do For You. It was a different thing. You know what I mean? It was a different experience, and it was incredible. And then I started seeing the records, the way they worked the records, and took it all around the world and started promoting it and started doing what record companies do. And the record became hot, and it took its own life.
And speaking of, Uptown Records, you were actually one of the first individuals actually signed. And that record label turned out to be one of the most iconic labels of all time. I have to ask you, how does it feel to actually be solidified within Uptown Records history?
Man, Uptown Records was home. It was family. It was nothing like it. Like, it was like in our generation the new Motown, because it was Heavy D. The first tier of Uptown was Heavy D and the Boys, the group Guy, I'll Be Sure, the Necessary Quest group Be Chill. And then after that tier, that layer came, then I bought Father MC, Jodeci, Mary J. Blige, Christopher Williams, Horace Brown, the soul, the meat of the soul food. And I brought that to the table with us, and we were the second tier, and it was incredible. It was incredible. Mentioning with Heavy D, because he came with us as well.
And I have to ask you, did you ever have the opportunity to work with Heavy D? Because, I first and foremost got to say, God bless his soul, man. Such a talented individual.
Yes, God bless it was crazy because we wanted to, but when he was working on his album, I was on the tour. I was on tour all the time, overseas. And when I was working on my album, vice versa. It's like when he'd come out, I'd be working. When I'd come out, he'd be working. So we never got a chance to. But we did collaborate on the MTV Unplugged, song, the Uptown song on the soundtrack, the MTV Unplugged. So we did get a chance to work together, but really make a song together with me and Heavy D, just us two. No, we didn't have that chance, that opportunity, which would have been great.
I most definitely agree. Yourself, Father MC, and Heavy D on one track. I don't know, man. I don't think the record players could handle it.
That would have been crazy. It would have been crazy, definitely.
And also in '93, you were actually nominated for Best Rap Album at the Soul Train Awards. I have to ask you, how did it feel to be up there? Just receiving that nomination at Soul Train.
Man, it was crazy, but not even that though. It's when we got nominated for the Soul Train. When I got nominated for the Soul Train Music Award, at the end of the day, that was beautiful. But what bugged me out was when I got nominated, and I had to. It was me and the group Silk, and we had to give the award to Michael Jackson. That was even more of a reward to me than being nominated, and it was cool. It was cool because Mike was just a regular guy, but I was a fan coming up. Now, next thing you know, I'm on stage with this guy, giving him an award. It bugged me out, and it was crazy. It was just nuts to me.
And also, one thing I did notice, because I was looking on Discogs when I was doing my research for this interview, and I also learned something that I didn't know. I learned that you actually have some production credits on Ray Parker Jr.'s record called Girl I Saw. Sorry, I Love You Like You.
Girl, I Saw You. Yeah.
I have to ask you, like, what is it? What made you decide to get into the production side of things? And of course, what was it like working with Ray Parker?
Let me tell you something. I was on tour, and Ray Parker's people, we were on the same label. I just was on Uptown MCA, and he was direct. He was with MCA. They came to me and told me Ray Parker wants me to produce and write for him. I was like, really? At the end of the day, I said, how are we going to do this? So in between the tour, when the tour quit like a break, like we had like a week break, let's say, they fly me from my tour bus and fly me into Cali. He owned the studio, American Studios at the time. This one of the biggest studios out here still to this day. He owned it. So when I got there, he gave me the keys. MCA rented me a Benz, and he had also gave me his Benz. He had the 550 Benz. He gave it to me and said, okay, this is yours, whatever. I said, Ray, I got a Benz already. He said, just take it, whatever. You may want to switch up or whatever. And I had the keys to the studio. I had the engineer, so I had everything at my, leisure. So I remember the biggest thing was at the studio. I walked in and Barry White's there. And God bless him. That man worked. And to see all of these people I admired that were there that worked, it bugged me out. And I'm like, hey, I'm in here with these guys. So Ray Parker, he taught me a lot, man. Like, even though, I showed him some things, he showed me, like, when he was, the way he does his vocals is beautiful to me. I'm usually in the booth, and let's go. I remember I came to the studio one night, and he had the microphone near the board, and he had his guitar, and it bugged me out. Because I'm like, you're not going to get feedback from and the way he had it hooked up, and the engineer, it was incredible. It was hot. It was hot to me.
And when he came across when he came across to you and asked you to do production, did he hear your other production work from previous projects, or did he just take a liking to your craft and was like, yo, I want Father MC?
That part. He liked Father MC, and he's like, I'm gonna give Father MC a shot. And they called me. That's why I was shocked when he called me. But I still was doing production. So I still was in the mix of getting it together. And when he called me, I was kind of scared because it's Ray Parker Jr. You get what I'm saying? And Ray Parker at that time was huge. Huge. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? So I told him I was going to hip hop him out a little bit, not too left, and let's go for it. And he went with everything we did, man.
And
that was crazy.
And it must have been a surreal experience as well, because like you said, man, like he is one of the most. Ray Parker is one of the most amazing singers out there, man. Like I'm telling you, he could sing a baby to sleep. You know what I mean?
Man, Ray Parker's smooth with it. Ray Parker's definitely smooth with it.
And also, you were featured on Kim Ray's "Just Be Good to Me." I have to ask you, how did you get connected with her, and what was it like working with her?
Record company again. Everybody that came, like, they came to me. I went to Jodeci and Mary, but like, cause they were on my label. But Kim, like, it was just, it was there. It was there. We worked. We all. It was a feel good. In the studio, everything felt right, and you got to go with the momentum, man. When things are feeling right and everything is good, don't knock the vibe. Just go with it.
I most definitely agree. And your guys' chemistry on that record was just phenomenal.
Thank you.
And also, I've been seeing a lot about your Black Disney LP. I have to ask you, tell us the inspiration behind that, and of course, where can our listeners buy or stream themselves a copy of that LP?
Okay, well, the LP is not out. We're waiting on sample clearances to come, so we just have to wait on that. But I started leaking it because I wasn't going to do another album. And then I said, if I'm to do another album, God will give me a sign. And I remember one night, he just, like, told me, I was in my backyard just hanging out. And he said, go in your studio. That's what I felt. Go in your studio and just start playing around. And I started playing around. And then I made a record. And I let people hear it. And people was like, yo. And that was my confirmation, my ticket to say, let's go. The name Black Disney is because I remember when I was young, I used to love going to Disney. And I remember when I became Father MC, they shut Disney down for me for the day. They shut it down for me. And they let me and my whole crew and the record staff have at it. And we had a blast. And I always said, I want to do an album called Black Disney. Because all I saw was successful black people just benefiting from it, having a ball. So I said, next album, I'm just going to name it Black Disney. And that's how that came out. But Black Disney is coming very, very soon.
And I gotta say though, Father, when you asked Lord to give you a sign, he probably realized that hip hop needed you, with all this mumble, whatever business is going on today, man, he most definitely was like, yo, Father MC, hip hop needs you.
I appreciate that too, man.
And I do want to say, me personally, I'm glad you're back, man, because I grew up on your music. You're a talented individual. I'm just glad that you're giving us one more record, so thank you for that.
Man, thanks for having me. That's just what it is, man. And I had fun with the album. I had fun with making it. And the thing about doing it yourself is like, I had Rip. He's a producer out of New York. He did 3 songs on me, and I did the rest on my album. And the collabs are crazy. Me and him, I tell him the type of vibe I was on. He fill it out, listen to me. He called me back like, Father, did you feel? I said, that's what I was talking about. And when he emailed me the records, it was like I was right there while he was making it, because he hit exactly what I told him on each of the records. So, we took it from there. Those records are getting mastered as we speak, mixed and mastered as we speak. And just waiting for the outcome.
And it sounds like it's just coming along great. I have to ask you, just before we move off the topic of Black Disney, are you going to be having hard copies available for the old school listeners that really love that hard copy feel?
Yes, absolutely. We were just talking about that as well. We just was talking about that. To have, going back to the vinyl, we want vinyl. We want it to be for the DJs to enjoy it too. All the people that push buttons, that's cool too. But the people that really want to take that wax and go at it, it's going to be available.
And also, tomorrow night, you're actually going to be on Pass the Mic with DJ Cassidy. I have to ask you, tell us a bit more about that event, and how can our listeners slide in and check you out?
Okay, it's going to be, they have the dates mixed up. It's September 9th. September 9th. I just spoke to Cassidy. I just flew out of Atlanta. It's September 9th, and what's happening is the dates got mixed up. It got confused. And what it is I'm going to do everything's going to be all right on that plateau, you know. And when they came to me and was like, let's get it. And Cassidy is so cool, you know, and I appreciate what he's doing with that music. But of course, I said I had to be there, you know.
So everybody that's listening, remember September 9th, Father MC is going to be live doing a little performance, so make sure you slide on in and support him.
Yeah, definitely.
So Father MC, I have to ask you, what's next for you, other than, you know, your new record that's coming out September 9th, the little virtual show? Is there anything else you want to promote? We still have you here live on Outlaw Radio FM?
Yeah, well, me and Jimmy Jenkins and Janard Parker, we have this thing. He was the president at Uptown, and Janard, producer for SWV and Ashanti and a couple of other people. We have this thing called Uptown Beyond. And this is representing Andre Harrell, who, if it wasn't for Andre Harrell, myself, Jodeci, Mary J. Blige, Diddy, none of us would be who we are if it wasn't for him. He passed away. So we have Uptown Beyond, where we have from the employees of hold on one second, let me just. The ex-employees of Uptown, the celebrities, like major celebrities, TV celebrities, movie stars, like Demi Moore, like acts like that of that caliber, are speaking about, you know, Andre Harrell, and we're celebrating what he's done for music in general, and it's going to be a live podcast, and it's going to be crazy. Matter of fact, our last one is tomorrow. And then we're going into editing mode, and then we're going to be here, and it's going to come out Uptown Beyond, and it's anticipated. And also the three miniseries on BET is coming out. It's about Uptown Records. It's about Uptown Records, and that's going to be on BET next year, 2021. And then we have the biography that's coming out, and then we have the movie. The real movie of Uptown, and that's going to be in the theaters. That's going to be crazy.
With the movie, if you don't mind me asking, is it going to be like actors portraying you guys, or is it going to be like an actual documentary?
No, it's going to be actors and actresses portraying us. Like same thing with the TV, the miniseries. They had auditions all around the world. The COVID slowed it down a little bit, but you know they're still doing their thing right now. They're just starting back up.
So everybody, make sure you stay on the lookout for all those projects. But Father MC, this is the time in the interview that I give a chance for the individual that comes on the radio station, just a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, and also your social media handles. That way our listeners can stay updated on everything Father MC, and of course, you know, get connected with you.
Okay, my social media handle is Timothy Brown on Facebook. And on Instagram, it's @TheRealFatherMC. @TheRealFatherMC on Instagram. And my management team are in the process of getting everything else with the social media, like, hooked up, like, as far as with Twitter and everything else.
But I want to say, Father MC, again, one last time, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy, busy evening to come on 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM. Truthfully, it was an honor. I grew up on your music, so thank you for everything you did for the hip-hop culture. But most of all, man, I hope down the line we can make this happen again. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thanks for having me, man. And everybody else, I take it easy, and thanks for the support. God bless.
God bless. Thank you, Father MC.
Great.